Get ready. Hold tight. It's
Hold on to your hats, boys.
Libas.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Wednesday Week.
A little bit old for you, but
We're that deep into Danny Mole. Please don't clip that.
Been truly horrific, haven't we, this season away from home?
I want goals!
Anyone would think that we rehearse this, and I guarantee that we haven't.
How poor do we have to be before it's happened? How much blood from this stone does he have to get?
For Wednesday Week!
Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Wednesday Week. Tonight, I've got joining me from the Holland or just Holland Back podcast. I've got Ant. He's just fresh off the back of talking about another game that happened over the weekend, as we are as well. In
Hello from the other side.
Ant, welcome to the show. You all right, pal? How are you getting on?
I'm fine. Yeah, I've been better as a football fan, definitely. Yeah, but congratulations on your FCAs as well, by the way.
Oh, bless you. I've been on a 3-day bender since, and regular viewers of this show will know I've looked better. It's been a hell of a weekend. I've made quite the song and dance about it in my own mind.
As you should.
Yeah, that's it. So, listen, Hull City, I'll be honest with you, Ant, this is one of the few times we've played you guys where I'm not feeling confident. I'm just happy that we're playing you in this vein of form without sounding like I'm taking a dig. There's been a lot of times you and I have, we've come across each other over the years in various leagues, and this is the one I'm least concerned about. However, given the way our form's been quite sketchy, we are known as Charity FC, and I know probably a lot of fans probably use that phrase about their own team, but we seem to be the architects of people ending their bad runs. So I tell you what, let's go back to the start of the season. Let's talk about start of season expectations, things like that. I mean, it was a tumultuous summer for you, wasn't it?
It was really bad. The summer is probably the entire reason we're in the position we're in. To be fair, it's look, we had a phenomenal team last season, absolutely littered with quality. I mean, some of them now are just playing regularly in the Premier League. Look at Liam Delap, Jacob Greaves, Jaden Philogene playing in the Champions League for Aston Villa. We had a really, really good team, and we knew he wasn't going to keep the vast majority of those players. A lot of the loan players had to go back, like Cavalier. We knew that. Philogene and Greaves were never going to stay. But then, selling Ozan Tufan and everybody, Aaron Connolly getting released, all of our goals went. We lost all of our goal scorers, all of our creators. I think it was something like 94% of all of our goals had gone in the summer. And then the problem is we sold those players without actually having a replacement lined up, which as transfer business goes is just suicide. So, and then the other problem was we didn't do our business until late on in the window. So our owner has a new position. He's on the board of directors at Fenerbahce, the club he supports. And he focused on setting up their Champions League team for the first half of the transfer window and getting players in through the door for them. So we didn't really make any signings. All of our signings were made in the last 2 weeks of the window. The season had already started. Vast majority of our players came through, needed to bed in, learn the new system, get used to each other. And we were already 4 or 5 games into the season. It's been really bad transfer business. 2 of our signings from the summer, ACL injuries, are out for the full season. It's been a really poor summer. All good players gone. Decent players signed as well. It's not like we've gone from, a top 7 team to a bottom 3 team. This squad is easily mid-table. We didn't really expect playoffs or anything this season. I think, even the most optimistic City fan knew this season would be a year of transition. But it's a mid-table team held back by bottom 3 tactics, and that's why we're in the position we're in.
So Tim Walter, he didn't get a vote of confidence from the chairman. He gave himself a vote of confidence from the chairman in the news this week, didn't he? He just went, yeah, I mean, the chairman are tight. We're fine. Do you feel like there could be an element of Venky's and Steve Keane, where they're just like, are we sacking this geezer or what? What's happening? And he just sticks around, or do you feel he's just been unlucky because of the injuries that you've had and the lack of support that he should have got?
It's a mixture of both. Look, any manager would have, even if we'd have kept Rosinia, we'd have been nowhere near the top 6 with what we got this season, because there's not enough goal scorers in the team. But in saying that, managers need to adapt and change depending on the circumstances. That's how you be a successful manager. Every manager nowadays seems insistent on having an identity or a way of playing, and they stick to it. Like if they didn't play it, their career would be over. And it's crazy to me because it's quite clear that our system, the way he wants to play it, which is so crazy. I mean, you'll have seen it in the cup game that we play. It's the goalkeeper's essentially an outfield player. The vast majority of our possessions with the back four. Our keeper's made like 300 passes more than any other keeper in the league, which just tells you exactly where all our possession is. We don't use the midfield, and we're not winning games. And then to me as a manager, if you're looking at your team struggling to play this very outlandish style of play and it's not working and it's led to you being the bottom three, I would change it. But he doesn't. He will not. And that's the kind of manager he is. We've been told that from his past clubs. He is stubborn to a T. He will not change. We've seen this. He's come out in interviews after games. He's insistent that his system is perfect. There's nothing wrong with it. It's the players that can't do it. He's even come out and said the fans need to do better. He's blamed everything but himself. Wow. And it's crazy, it's just, he's lost the fans. The players, to me, I think they're not playing for him, but that's obviously a matter of my opinion. Someone else might say different, but yeah, it's not sustainable long term. We've got one clean sheet all season. We scored 16 goals and 10 of those were in 3 games. So in the other 13, we only scored 6. It's just we're so sloppy defensively. We don't create that much, and the chances we do create, we're sloppy with and miss. And then we give stupid goals away, and he just doesn't seem to want to change it. And that's a frustrating thing as a fan. And it's ultimately on him. But the owner coming out and saying he's fine with what he's seeing. The performances are good. He's blamed referees and luck and everything else. But it seems a bit dodgy to me. I think the owner's ego stepped in a bit because he made such a big call with Rosinia. And bringing in this guy, I don't think he wants to admit defeat and say that he's made the wrong appointment. But I think unfortunately for us, we're stuck with him until probably January, unless he loses the next 5 on the bounce, and he absolutely has to go. But yeah, I think he wants to keep him.
But if you look at your results through November, surely there's some, there's a turn up for the books, right? Oxford were going to win one. Portsmouth were going to, they were going to get some good results through the season, of course. You know what I mean? The law of averages, it's going to happen. But for them to happen in the same period seems a little bit. It's not an accident, is it?
No. It's teams know how to play against us, and they know they don't even have to play well to beat us. Oxford had like 2 shots all game and won. Luton, who we've just played, had about 4 shots all game and won. We've played. I know, like we mentioned the charity case thing at the start of this. I mean, we will out charity your charity 100%. We've done it 3 times already this season. Oxford hadn't won for 7 games. We rocked to town. They won. West Brom had only scored 2 goals in 8 games. They beat us 2-1. Luton hadn't won for God knows how long. They beat us 1-0. We are literally just, we are the season starter. If you need a result to kickstart your season, we're the perfect team to play because, like I said, the system is so flawed and so predictable that teams know that we're going to gift you 3 or 4 good chances a game. You saw it in the cup game. We literally handed 2 goals to Sheff Wednesday that game, and we continue to do that game after game without scoring more than 1 goal. So even if we take the lead, we're still worried because we're always going to concede. So we have to score 2 to win games, and that's not sustainable in the Championship.
I feel like this is going to get one of those names in it, like like El Charitico or something like that. There's going to be someone's going to come up with some
El Sakiko. We might as well just add another one to it.
That's what we were calling us versus Rotherham last year, El Crapico. So I mean, we're playing each other in a terrible run of form for yourselves. Do you see a light at the end of the tunnel? Is it going to be? Or are you just waiting now for the chairman to pull the trigger, or you're going to get those big loan signings from Fenerbahce at some point? Where are they that you thought you were going to get? You thought you were going to get the Udinese-Watford combo, I assume, right?
Well, we've actually not signed that many players from Turkey, but we did expect some game-changing striker to be signed in the summer that never really materialised, and we've ended up with some 32-year-old free agent who's missed from 6 yards against Luton. But there is no light at the end of the tunnel for us at the minute. I think as a fan, I mean, if you're going to the game on Tuesday night, you will see probably the most dead atmosphere you've seen from us in a long time because the fans are just fed up And then last season, yeah, we finished 7th, but the football was quite tedious, boring. It was very possession based, very slow. And despite actually getting results, it wasn't very enjoyable to watch, and we were quite poor at home. This season, even worse. We are horrendously awful to watch, full of mistakes, full of sloppiness, very wasteful. And you know exactly what's going to. It's just copy and paste every single game. We turn up. It's at that point now where the apathy's set in. It just it's almost like a chore. Like yesterday, when I went to go watch the Luton game, I was like, yeah, I'll come round and watch it. You know, more of a like I have to more than I want to, and that's the excitement's gone from watching Hull City this season. So it's very easy, I think. I mean, especially at home, we only won, I think it's 3 times in 2024 at home. So, you know, we're a great away day because the tickets are quite cheap. You'll have fantastic food on the concourse and you'll probably go home with 3 points. We're a fantastic away game to choose. But yeah, no, we're very resigned to the fact that Adjan is very, very supportive of Volta and is happy with what he's seen. And we're unfortunately stuck with him for the foreseeable until he obviously gets to a point where Adjan's quite worried we might actually go down and get rid of him.
I look at the league and I look at, you know, constantly looking below, which is something I'm not used to doing. But after last season, you know, I kind of had my fingers burnt where you're looking, going, hang on, what are they doing? What are they doing down there? And I look and think there are 3 teams worse than us. You know what I mean? So I don't feel like we're going to get involved in any kind of relegation dogfight or something like that. However, I would have put Cardiff in that category, given the way they're playing this season. But they got a really credible draw against what was essentially a bit of a lackluster Sheffield Wednesday team on Saturday. Do you look at the league yourself and think there's 3 teams worse than us? Or do you feel like this is going to be a bit of a dogfight unless something drastic changes?
I look at the league and I see teams quality-wise that I feel like we should be nowhere near. But I also see those teams have, you know, managers that will pull results out the bag and grind results out eventually. Whereas we have got a manager who is so incredibly insistent on playing this one way of playing, despite it not working, that the longer he stays, then yes, if he stays for the full season, I'm fully convinced we would go down because we can't look 3 wins in 16 games, 1 clean sheet all year, and only 16 goals scored. He's playing players out of positions. He had the perfect opportunity to put Abu Kamaru, who's meant to be really good on the right, kept playing him on the left, even though he has our right wingers out with an ACL. He has a perfect opportunity to play him there. He won't do it. It's just, you know, we don't use the midfield. Arguably, our most creative players are the midfield 3. We don't use them. They push out to the wings and they create almost like a horseshoe. We play it down the wing. If it don't work, we go back to play it around the back about 10 minutes, and then go down the other wing. And we just completely ignore the midfield. And, you know, for a manager who's so inexperienced at England, so stubborn, that's lost the fans, you know, the atmosphere just doesn't help either. I just feel like the longer he stays, the more damage there is for the next person to fix. So yeah. I think the other teams round the bottom 3, as long as we've got Volta, they could be quite confident that they could pip us to safety.
I don't know. QPR have been farting around the poo with relegation for a couple of years now, haven't they? It's about time they got, you know, just take one of them spots, QPR. You be the Rotherham, and then let's, you know what I mean? Let's all try and have a tear up.
That's one less place that we can take.
In it. And but I look at teams like Coventry are an interesting one. Cardiff are definitely an interesting one. Preston are the shock for me because, you know, I've always looked at teams such as yourselves, Middlesbrough, West Brom, you know, and Preston, those middle of the table championship clubs that just live from week to week, and they're just, you know, every week sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit, you know what I mean? And there's just there's a bit of back and forth there, and you can live from week to week. And I look at those teams and go, do you know what? I'm kind of jealous that's you know, that's their season to an extent. And then you think, right, we'll do this for a couple of years and then we'll start making a push for playoffs and stuff like that. Do you feel now that you're kind of dropping out of that pack of clubs that I'd associate with the championship again, unless something changes? Yeah,
potentially. I think the good thing for us is that the league is so compact this year. Like, I think we're only 10 or 11 points off the top 6. So if you want to be super optimistic and look at it that way. So if you string together 2 or 3 decent results, the complexion of your season completely changes. But vice versa, if you lose 2 or 3, you could be pushed down, you know, 8, 9 places. With us, it's a case of we need to act as quickly as possible to get a decent manager in to steady the ship, make us hard to beat again, in order to get us into a decent enough position to lure some good players back in January to get back to where we want to be. I feel like this period now between today and January is super important, because the festive period is usually what makes or breaks a team season. And if we're in and around the bottom three, there's no way we're convincing players to sign for us when you're in competition with the rest of the championship. They could go to someone who's challenging at the top six rather than, relegation dogfight. And you've got to pay premiums to get them here and daft wages and stuff like that, just in case. So yeah, we need to be nowhere near the bottom three come January. But with the current manager, that's not going to happen. So we need to be acting sharpish, or else we are going to, be at a point where we've lost that pack completely.
God almighty. Last time I did this show with a Hull City fan, it was a lot more upbeat, Ant, I'll be honest with you.
It's a bit different now, but
I'm just thinking now, it was Juan Delgado that scored against you lot very early on last season, wasn't it? And I think and you were just unfortunate just to drop out the playoffs last season. So tell me about Rosinha and how that came about, because for me, I was like, God, it's up there this season. It's last season's Mark Robbins leaving Coventry type of thing, and I couldn't understand it, because it seemed to get quite bitter afterwards, didn't it?
Yeah, it is an interesting one, because you'll get a different answer from any City fan that you talk to. So, I can see why he went. I would have been quite happy to see him have another year. I can also see why he went, but you've got to get the replacement right, and we just haven't. We've regressed with the manager that we brought in. With hindsight, Rosinha probably would have been a safe bet to keep us, a familiar face who understands the club, and just for a bit of continuity this season, bringing in a lot of new players, would have made sense to keep him rather than have this guy. But the style of player last season was tedious. It was like at home we were really bad. I can probably count on one hand the amount of times I came away from an home game last season and thought, do you know what, we played really well today. Ironically, one of those was Sheff Wednesday, right at the start of the season. But other games, we barely scored any goals. We barely created chances. Some confusing team selections at times. I mean, we were incredibly unlucky with some injuries. We lost Philogene for like the best part of 2 months. Delap for 6 months. I think we'd have 100% been in the top six with Delap. The owner, I think he saw it as he wants to give the fans exciting football. Rosinha didn't provide that. Also didn't get the top six with what was essentially a championship super team. And that wasn't good enough for him. But I think realistically what we're seeing is the owner wants a manager that will get the best of the players that the owner provides him, rather than what Rosinha was doing, and he was trying to create a team in his image, his shape, things like that. So yeah, I mean, Rosinha only needed to tweak 2 or 3 things about his system and it'd have been there. Like, just take some more risks, take the shackles off some of the more creative players, mix it up at times, go a bit more direct, because teams knew if they could just sit deep against us, we'd do nothing. We'd just pass it around for God knows how long. But he's a young manager who's going to be naive. He's got stuff to learn. And I would have been quite happy for him to do that here. But like I say, if he's going to sack Rosinha and then bring, a manager in who genuinely played thrilling football, and we were scoring 3 or 4 a week, then fair play. But that's not happened. So that decision now looks worse, and because of the position we're in, which is understandable.
Yeah, like a lot of people, we were talking. We spoke about this at the start of Danny Rule's career when he came in. When the management changes, we always want to go for that sexy young foreign manager, right? Somebody who doesn't play shit kicky 4-4-2, and you're like, yeah, let's play some four. But I think what we've kind of got that now as a league, and we've got that in football. I mean, Pep Guardiola's got blood on his hands in terms of the way football's gone, because it's boring. I want to see players hitting the byline and getting it in the mixer. I want to see a big shit kicking telegraph pole in the middle of the 18-yard box get the ball from the goalkeeper. You know what I mean? Things like that. Yeah. I want 100 mile an hour. I want my wingers to be the foot that they're on the wing of, as opposed to cutting back and slotting one in the back beans on toast and things like that. I don't know. I feel like this is the way football is now, and we kind of have to just accept that football is boring. And whoever we get, unless it's somebody like Chris Wilder or Harry Redknapp, I don't feel like it's going to get any better. So let's talk about the upcoming game then. I assume again, I'm not doing this for any lauding purposes. I assume there's a degree of trepidation from you lot, but you do have the home advantage, right?
We've been so poor at home this entire year. The atmosphere's completely died. I mean, I think that's a nationwide thing as well. I've been to away games and the home crowds just aren't the same as what they say. But I think, like you say, because so many football styles are so boring now that fans don't really have anything to shout about. I mean, it's even dripped down to League Two. You see them playing out from the back. It's crazy. But no, we I don't know if the players maybe feel a bit of extra pressure at home, obviously, because of misplaced passes, a bit more groanings, a bit more pressure. But we are really, really bad at home. And it's one of those where I think we beat Cardiff at home this season, and that was quite comfortable, but that was only just as they'd sacked Bullet. And the new guy, that Reza, he'd only been in like a day, so he didn't really have any effect on the team, but they've been mint since. But even the other 2 wins that we had under Rosenia, going back to this is how long the last couple of wins were, was like a 1-0 win against Millwall, and we were absolutely horrendous. They probably should have won 2-1. But we're the same all the time. We give soft goals away. The away teams find it really easy to gain momentum against us. And yeah, there is a slight sense of dread. I mean, I've just done our main episode before coming on here, and none of us predicted a win. In fact, I think there was two loss predictions, and I said a draw. Just because I didn't want to lose to you guys again. I've already seen it once this season. That's pain enough. But that was more out of hope than expectation. So yeah, I think people do genuinely expect us. I mean, we don't keep clean sheets for starters, so if there is them, you will score a goal. That's pretty much guaranteed at this point.
That'd be lovely.
So yeah, no, there is a sense of dread at the minute. Yeah.
Wow. Normally I'd ask you for a score prediction at this part of the show. What draw did you go for? Like a score draw then?
1-1 I went for, and that was an optimistic 1-1.
It seems sensible to me. Listen, Ant, it's been an absolute pleasure. Stay on the line, pal. But thanks a lot for joining us, and we'll see you later.
Every week, live from 8 p.m. It's the Wednesday week, bringing you football analysis.
He came in. I think he scored a goal.
Bringing you banter.
Yeah.
Bringing you responsible life hacks.
Met you wonderful souls at 10 a.m. for some shots.
The Wednesday week. 1, 2, 3, 4 live. Available on all social medias.
Obviously, this goes out on YouTube and as well as all the other social media out there, podcasts, etc.
The Wednesday week 24-25 season. Join us.
Put on your podcast.